Hello again. So I did a little bit of work off camera, got a little bit anxious. I also wanted to skip some of the more boring parts for you. So fashioned up a nice stand to keep the front wheel off the ground. This lets me get back underneath it with the floor jack to get it off of there. So the front wheel is off, and I got the back wheel off along with the final drive, and all of that went very smoothly. Just undo the two shock mount bolts, prop it up a little bit so that the axle clears the muffler, and then you pound that out from this side. Undo the three nuts that secure the final drive, and everything just comes out nice and smooth. So that whole process kind of explained a few of the scratches that I had found on the mufflers from those the axle having been banged back and forth a couple times. So the wheels off because I got a brand new set of Dunlop 404s for front and rear. I also picked up a 5-gallon jug of Evapor Rust, but I gotta wait until the weather warms up a little bit before I can use that on the gas tank. At the moment, I've got the front brake calipers soaking in it. Don't ask me how rust sticks to aluminum, but inside those bleeder holes was pretty crusty, and I'm still waiting for that to dissolve. So that's down in the basement where it's nice and warm. I've got the battery tender plugged into it. I've been trying to figure out why the horns aren't working. The horns work just fine when you plug them straight into the battery, so I don't think it's an issue with the horns themselves. It seems to be an issue up front here, which could be in that harness. There's not a horn relay on this bike, so I've got a bad ground or a bad connection somewhere that I'm going to have to find. Other than that, I did find a new speedometer, the correct year. So once I have some turn signals, all of that should work very nicely. I also spent a lot of time cleaning up this left side switch mechanism because that was super sticky, and now it feels great, and it works great too. Lights up a lot quicker over here. So clutch cable's been installed as well. Got a nice little bit of free play. That's how it's supposed to be. I also installed my throttle cable. And that's working very nicely. On that, I had to use one of those screw-on cable stops. They come in a Dorman kit. You can get them at AutoZone. This was the 5/16 option, but clip off that one, and then I found another nut to secure it to the little bracket on the intake manifold. So there's throttle taken care of. So I do still have the front master cylinder to rebuild. That's all cleaned up and ready to go. I just haven't gotten to it yet. I was kind of waiting for the calipers so I can do all of them at the same time. I've got patterns made for drilling the rotors, all three of them, and now that I have all three of them off, I can proceed with that. All that's left to do today is get the rear brakes off. I need to get the caliper out. I'm going to be painting the calipers and caliper brackets, front and rear, either red or black. I haven't decided yet, but more than likely red to contrast the black rims. So I think that's going to look really nice. Anyway, let me get you set up in the stand. That's enough talking for today, and let's get those brakes off. So back here at the rear master cylinder, I'm going to start with these two bolts and see where that gets me. So there's a small cotter pin down here where this arm meets the master cylinder. I need to get my tiny pliers out. Now that pin should push back. There's a small washer on it. So now our master cylinder is free, we just need to get it out. I'm gonna get some rags or something to protect this here from brake fluid. I don't know if brake fluid can eat chrome, but I don't want to find out. I don't know how much is in here. I don't think there's much in there at all. Well, there's some in there. So looks like a 10mm bolt up here to get that reservoir out, and then I'll undo that banjo bolt, and hopefully this should come out. Okay, hopefully you can see this okay. I've also got the swing arm propped up just to give a little bit more room back here. But I think as soon as I get this brake line off, it's gonna come right out without a problem. There was a little bit of brake fluid in there. And I just realized I'm going to need to remove that reservoir. Grab myself a flathead. And out it comes. It's much of the same story as the front. Inside there, seeing a lot of that rust color. Yeah, let's see about taking this thing apart, seeing how it looks on the inside. I think just like with the front, we're going to need to get that snap ring out. So just like the front brake master, there's a snap ring here that I'm going to have to get out. I'm going to fight this snap ring for a while, and I'll bring it back later. It's very slimy, and gritty and dark, but not a lot of that same, not as much of the rust color as was with the front. That bore feels okay. Let me take some brake parts cleaner to this and see how it cleans up. So you're not going to be able to see it on camera, but that bore looks pretty okay. I think this one's going to need to soak for a few days in the evapor rust, just like the front. Go ahead and take this off. Make sure that evapor rust gets everywhere it needs to. Oh yeah, nice and gritty in there too. Yeah, a little bit more cleanup on that and a bath in the evapor rust, and we'll see how it fare out. I think there is, yep, another tiny orifice in here that's going to need cleaned out. But it was much of the same with the front, so. Just some cleanup on this. Putting this caliper and caliper bracket on. Another small cotter pin here. And a nut, which is all already loose. But before I do that, I'm going to get this brake line free. There's a series of clips going around the swing arm over to the rear master cylinder. So I just need to find a way to pry those open nicely. So, just using the back of an adjustable wrench so I have something nice and grippy for leverage on, and that'll come right out. And we'll go ahead and do that all the way around the swing arm. So disassembling this brake caliper is going to be the exact same as the front ones. Only difference is I think this one's going to be a little bit easier because when I pry back this boot, I don't see any rustiness. So that might be much cleaner inside. I'll find out, but I'm not going to bother with showing you that. You've already seen two calipers disassembled. So I think that's going to wrap it up for this video. In the next one, we'll be putting the entire brake system back together, front and rear, putting the rear wheel back on, filling the final drive with oil, and both of our front and rear wheels will have the new tires mounted on them. So that's going to be great. And then it'll basically be ready to ride around the block. It's not going to be pretty, obviously, because all the body panels aren't painted, but it will be safe to ride. I'll have a good running engine, good brakes, and everything you need. So make sure you tune in for that one. It's going to be an exciting one. I'm going to make sure to be starting this thing and see if we can putz it around the block, maybe with an auxiliary fuel source, and yeah. Make sure you don't miss that. Catch you next time. Thanks for watching.